I'm Veronica Dudo. Tonight on EWTN News Nightly, almost there. House members return to vote to end the shutdown, but one issue could prolong it. We'll explain. A day after electing new leadership, the USCCB takes on other major issues. EWTN News is there. AI Medicine and Dignity, a special event held this week in Rome. We'll show you where the church is hopeful and concerned. Plus, survival method. The one thing Pope Leo says, we need to grow, learn, and live. These stories and more tonight.
From EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, this is EWTN News Nightly.
Thank you for being with us on the Feast of St. Josephat. Our top story tonight, the end is finally in sight to the longest government shutdown in American history. The U.S. House is poised to pass a Senate-approved bill that funds the government until January 30th. It would end, for now, a long and bitter 6 weeks as Congress has remained pretty much at a standstill. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales has the latest. Eric.
Well, good evening, Veronica. Since the Senate passed the new continuing resolution on Sunday night, House lawmakers have been trying to make their way back to Capitol Hill, battling through the travel delays caused by the shutdown. Listen to this. Republican Congressman Derek Van Orden, he wasn't taking any chances. He decided to ride his motorcycle all the way back from his Wisconsin district. Now, House Speaker Mike Johnson blamed the Democrats for the travel delays and the harm caused to the American people.
I just want to apologize to any Americans who are out there who still have flight cancellations or delays today. I want to apologize to the many American families who were made to go hungry over the last several weeks, our troops and other federal employees who are wondering where their next paycheck would come from. All of that's on the Democrats.
The House will vote on the stopgap funding bill tonight. It funds the government until January 30th. It also funds the Department of Agriculture, including SNAP and WIC programs, veterans benefits, veterans pay, and contractors for all of 2026. And it also reverses mass firings of federal workers during the shutdown and bars future layoffs through January 30th, 2026. But it does not include any extension of Obamacare tax credits, which are set to expire at the end of the year. A key demand by Democrats.
It doesn't address it, it doesn't even touch it, and I think that's where the biggest betrayal is that we're not actually having a bill that actually deals with so many Americans who are about to have no health insurance.
The great challenge that our residents, American people, are facing, which is the brutally high cost of living, particularly in health care. We've got to tackle this problem and not simply kick the can down the road.
Republicans agree health care needs to be reformed, but affordable for everyone.
We need to talk about that affecting 347 million Americans, not just a small portion. The Democrats shut down government because of 24 million Americans, just a couple percentage. We need to look at creating more access for all Americans.
We can't keep them indefinitely. I don't think government subsidies, never-ending government subsidies, are a good thing. But in the short term, it will help with those costs of health insurance premiums. It will give Congress time to look at those underlying health costs.
Republicans say they're discussing a lot of options.
I love the president's idea of having the tax credits for insurance premiums to go directly to the citizens buying them rather than insurance companies.
Speaker Johnson says that the House will work late nights starting next week to make up for the time lost by the shutdown. Now, the Speaker has not promised a vote will take place any time on a health care bill by the end of the year. Veronica?
Eric, the shutdown may be ending, but another controversy continues to make news, the Jeffrey Epstein files. What can you tell us?
Well, that is correct. Yeah, things are going to be heating up very quickly here. Earlier today, Adelita Grijalda, who won special election from Arizona back in September, was officially sworn into the House. Now, she's the last required signature to a bipartisan petition to force a vote on releasing all of the Epstein files, a move that the White House has been fighting for months. Now, Democrats on the Oversight Committee recently released more documents and emails from the Epstein estate that show direct communications between Epstein and Steve Bannon, Larry Summers, and others. They're all talking about President Donald Trump, who was then a candidate. California Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia claims it raises serious questions about President Trump and his knowledge of the crimes involving Epstein.
The president himself has said that he didn't know Jeffrey Epstein, that the birthday note didn't exist, that somehow he believed that the file should be released. I mean, all of that has turned out to be not true. So what else isn't true? And why is the White House covering up what is turning out to be a massive, massive scandal?
They're talking about Epstein because they need something else to talk about. Look, should we release the files? Yeah, sure, release them. But that's not fixing the issues that the American people care about. What the American people care about is finally having this government actually work for them.
Now that the Congresswoman from Arizona was officially sworn in and signed the discharge petition, under House rules, a floor vote on releasing all of the Epstein files would have to happen no earlier than the first week of December. The White House is firing back, saying, quote, the Democrats selectively leaked emails to the liberal media in trying to create a fake narrative to smear Donald Trump. I'll continue to stay on top of the issue. Veronica?
Thanks, Eric. If the government funding bill is approved, then it will be sent to President Donald Trump for his signature as early as tonight. He has signaled support for the measure. The shutdown has negatively impacted millions of Americans for many weeks. The Trump administration blames Democrats, saying they are responsible for the suffering. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports. Owen.
President Donald Trump's press secretary held a news briefing today telling reporters the White House is very hopeful that the government shutdown is going to come to an end, adding the damage caused by Democrats, in their words, cannot be forgotten.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt addresses the latest on the government shutdown winding down.
The Democrats dragged on the government shutdown for 43 days, the longest shutdown in U.S. history.
The fallout landing on millions of Americans, including federal workers going without paychecks and airline passengers having trips delayed or canceled.
Once the government reopens, the president, as he's always maintained, is absolutely open to having conversations about health care. And I think you'll see the president putting forth some really good policy proposals the Democrats should take very seriously to fix, again, the system that they broke.
Also impacted, SNAP. A signed bill would restore full funding for the food aid in November. About 42 million Americans rely on the benefits, which have been caught up in a legal back and forth. Amid the wrangling, the Attorney General in Oregon detailing how his state put food on the table.
Here in Oregon, it's a real simple thing. Our governor acted incredibly quickly to make sure that the food benefits were put onto these cards so Oregonians can actually access their benefits.
Small business owners say the shutdown trickles down to them too.
We should be slammed right now, but I mean, you can see we're not. I mean, so the sales not being there, you know, affects everybody's wages, affects everybody's hours.
The government shutdown also prompting smackdowns from both political parties, blaming each other. Democratic California Governor Gavin Newsom did not criticize the Democrats who voted to reopen the government, but he does take a swipe at President Trump.
But I'm not pleased that in the face of this invasive species that is Donald Trump, who's completely changed the rules of the game, that we're still playing by the old rules of the game.
The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, serves 1 in 8 Americans, about $190 per month per recipient. And during the shutdown, Catholic bishops, Catholic leaders have urged lawmakers to keep SNAP going. At the White House, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.
Thanks, Owen. For more on SNAP benefits, I want to bring in Rachel Sheffield. She is a research fellow in the Center for Health and Welfare Policy at the Heritage Foundation. She joins us now to help us understand the process. Rachel, let's start with the first question on many minds. If the shutdown ends tonight, how long does it take for SNAP recipients to receive their benefits again?
That's a good question. I mean, the program should be funded immediately. I don't know how long it will take to kind of get things rolling again, but the program will be funded. And I think one thing that, some states have actually vowed or said that they were going to use some of their own funding to contribute to the to SNAP, that's a good policy. And in fact, that's something that Congress should consider making permanent, or that they should make permanent. They should have states actually contributing, because as it is now, it's all federal spending, and it's good policy to have states contribute. So that's a change that should be made for many reasons. But one is that anytime we have these budget showdowns on Capitol Hill, that we don't have people's benefits kind of hanging in the balance.
After this shutdown, do you think that's a possibility that Congress could change some of the rules regarding SNAP benefits?
Well, I think it would be good policy for them to do so. They made some changes to the to SNAP with the president with the the big beautiful bill that kind of helped move the program in a better direction, where it's actually helping people move towards self-sufficiency. But this policy would be a great addition to that, to have states contribute a portion of funding to SNAP. As it stands right now, we have a welfare system. SNAP is just one part of a massive welfare system that consists of 90 programs at a cost of $1.7 trillion dollars a year. The vast majority of that spending is federal, and the problem with that is that when you have federal politicians handing dollars to state bureaucrats to just pass out, we don't to recipients. We don't get, that there isn't the care taken with those dollars to see that benefits are going to those who most need them, and so that is, and to ensure that people are actually getting the help that they need to move forward in their lives, rather than to just get a one-way transfer. So that's a policy that would be in the interest of the American people, and something that Congress should take up.
The number of legal battles focused on SNAP benefits has led to a lot of confusion. Do the current court rulings stand, or is that wiped out once the government reopens?
Well, from my understanding, there's been a stay that has been pushed till next week, kind of giving kind of with the understanding, or with the that to give kind of Congress that chance to open, whether to see if they'll open the government. So I think overall, if Congress votes to end the shutdown, that would basically kind of take care of the issues, the legal battles that have been going on.
Rachel Sheffield, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, thank you.
The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops are meeting once again for the third day of their plenary assembly in Baltimore. EWTN News Vice President Dr. Matthew Bunson has been in Baltimore all week and joins us live. Dr. Bunson, thank you for coming on. What are some of the major points so far in this assembly?
It's good to be with you, Veronica. In the first meeting of the U.S. bishops since the start of the pontificate of Pope Leo XIV, there did a number of important things, including electing their new president and vice president and other officers. But really the issue that has dominated the headlines and dominated the concerns of the bishops is one that they really focused on here in Baltimore, and that is immigration. Heeding and listening to the call of Pope Leo XIV to speak out very firmly on the issue of immigration, the bishops not only issued a strong statement today in which they also condemned, for example, what they referred to as indiscriminate mass deportation without due process of immigrants. They also created or launched an initiative called Alone No More. You are not alone. Bishops are basically telling immigrants here who might be in threat of deportation or arrest that the bishops are with them. This has become something also of a religious liberty issue for the U.S. bishops, as they are very concerned about providing pastoral care and the sacraments for those in detention. So the bishops really spoke out firmly in this gathering here in Baltimore.
Dr. Matthew Bunson, thank you so much.
Good to be with you.
We have a lot more still to come on EWTN News Nightly, including growing tensions. As America targets drug boats coming out of Venezuela, the South American country takes action. And worry over Iran, why the United Nations is concerned about the country's nuclear program. is conducting military exercises after growing tensions with the United States. The Trump administration has been targeting ships connected with Venezuela's drug trade. The USS Gerald Ford has been sent to the Caribbean along with 8 other Navy vessels. The administration says Venezuela is one of the world's largest smugglers of cocaine, and its president is part of the problem. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is encouraging Venezuelans to enlist in the military, telling citizens the U.S. could invade. Now to Iran, where its nuclear sites are causing, quote, a serious matter of concern among inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency. In a confidential report seen by the Associated Press, Iran has failed to let the watchdog agency into the nuclear sites bombed by the U.S. and Israel back in June. Since that time, there has been no accounting for Iran's enriched uranium stock. There are fears Iran could be a short step away from making the metal pure enough to be used to build a nuclear bomb. Pope Leo is urging participants in a Vatican-organized conference on the use of artificial intelligence in healthcare to ensure that technology supports rather than replaces interpersonal relationships in medicine. EWTN News Vatican correspondent Valentina Donato has more.
This week in Rome, an international congress came together to define the best ethical ways to use AI to give access to healthcare for all. It was organized by the Pontifical Academy for Life.
As a Vatican and a Pontifical Academy for Life, we started with the Rome Call for AI Ethics of 2020. And it was a document with the signature signed by also Microsoft, IBM, now Cisco, Salesforce. So there was a consensus that some basic values and principles must be present in artificial intelligence.
And the Vatican had the foresight to get involved early in the fast-moving tech space because, as Monsignor Renzo Pegoraro tells us, it's an important and urgent issue, especially in the application and ethics of medicine.
So with Pope Francis and now also with Pope Leo, the Pontifical Academy for Life, but other institutions in the Vatican started to analyze the challenges coming from artificial intelligence.
With 4.5 billion people lacking access to essential healthcare services, artificial intelligence has the potential to help bridge the gap, according to the World Economic Forum. John Lane is a radiologist and the vice president of the International Federation of Catholic Medical Associations, and he was encouraged by what he saw at this week's event.
There were certainly hopeful elements to the conversation, particularly regarding the theologians and the philosophers who spoke in regards to the implications of AI in healthcare. So provided that all the input into these systems will take that into account and allow not only theologians, philosophers, physicians to sit at the table to help design a system that is truly engineered for the common good, then I think there is hope.
The possibility of helping to make medical care more accessible in rural areas that are without adequate healthcare professionals is also a positive point that AI can help leverage. But there are also fears for leaving out the human touch that is such an essential part of the patient-doctor experience.
But a big, risk. My younger colleagues are afraid they'll be replaced by the machine. So, there are some risks involved.
In Rome, Valentina Donato for EWTN News Nightly.
As the Vatican calls for a moral and human-centered approach to artificial intelligence, tech companies are facing growing pressure for ethical oversight. We spoke with Paolo Carrozza, a Notre Dame law professor and member of Meta's oversight board, about how faith and subsidiarity could help build accountability in AI. So over the last month, the Vatican has hosted at least 3 different events on AI, focused on ethics, medicine, and those working in the field as Catholic leaders. Why is there such intense focus on this right now?
Well, I think the Church has realized for a while, even prior to the advent of the leadership of Pope Leo, that artificial intelligence poses enormous questions to human society and human well-being. Other popes have already warned about the problems that technology generates, Pope Leo has focused a special attention on it since the very beginning of this pontificate, as we all know. So much of the work that has been going on for a while, I think, is now being crystallized to try to bring it together and really have a unified impact, and for the church to be able to speak with a more consolidated voice in this area, if you will.
Now, you're on the Meta Oversight Board, an independent review board where individuals can appeal if they disagree with the content decisions made by the platform. And you're one of the few Catholics in leadership there. How do you see the Catholic faith, the relationship between human beings and artificial intelligence?
Well, I think Catholic teaching has always been centered around the dignity of the human being. Every human person has an irreducible, indestructible value given to us by being created in the image of God. And I think that translates very well into the discussions about how we should judge, use, evaluate, limit the role that new technologies have in society. And so my ability to be in environments like the Oversight Board, where we're together with people from a variety of different perspectives in different parts of the world, are all trying to face that question together. I think it's really important to be able to have those of us who are educated in a Catholic tradition be participants in that discussion and bring the wisdom of the church into the larger social environment there.
The Meta Oversight Board seems to desire to represent a new form of accountability for tech companies. How does this board take subsidiarity seriously, and what do you hope other companies learn from this experiment?
Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned subsidiarity, exactly because I see it as a Catholic as this is a perfect example of how the value might be and the principle that the Church holds as part of centrally within its Catholic social tradition as being valuable to this area. What we have in the Oversight Board is an example that is independent of both the tech companies themselves and the economic interests they have and the profit-driven interests, but also independent of the state and the government. And so it allows organizations within that intermediary space in which religious communities live and operate, in which most of society lives, to bring a degree of greater accountability and transparency into the operation of tech companies in general and the impact of those technologies in what we do.
Paolo Carrozza, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Up next on EWTN News Nightly, beating loneliness and narcissism, the one thing Pope Leo says we need in order to beat self-isolation. Leo emphasizes that human fraternity is essential and that without authentic relationships and mutual care, we would not be able to survive, grow, or learn.
Come figli dell'unico Padre e veri fratelli in Gesù Cristo.
At the weekly talk, the Holy Father warned that retreating into self-isolation cultivates loneliness, narcissism, and the reduction of others to mere objects from whom we take but never give. Drawing on the example of St. Francis of Assisi and the message of Fratelli Tutti, the Pope called on believers to remember that we are called to love each other as Christ loved us. The Pope also shared that fraternity given by Christ frees us from the negative logic of selfishness, division, and arrogance. We thank you for watching tonight. Remember, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, X, YouTube, and Instagram at EWTN News Nightly. I'm Veronica Dudo. Good night and God bless.